I hope that what we do as cartoonists is important, that cartooning creates a kind of a parallel universe. We are not news, we are visual commentators. So we are kind of taking things to the nth degree. There's the what if, and then we're exaggerating, the hyperbole, in order to kind of focus more sharply on what is happening. So you're creating something other than reality in order to comment on reality. And in doing so, taking things to the nth degree, you really push the boundaries. If you want to, for those of us who are cartoonists and want to do that, we really can. We have a fantastic medium to get a lot of people to see in a very short space of time what your opinion is about what's happening. And sometimes you can take A and you can take B and you can make X. You can make something completely different, and it's very powerful. Uses the element of surprise, often uses the element of humor, often uses the element of shock, also uses the brain. And I just am really lucky to be working in this genre because it suits what I want to do and how I want to say things and how I want to push boundaries.
The biggest challenge you face as a cartoonist?
Biggest challenge I face, I think what's happening now is that as things move from print to digital, it's really not for me so much of a technological shift as it is an attitudinal one. Digital is amazing in terms of its reach and the way things are going in it, but what it brings with it is social media, and some of the aspects of social media, it's almost a dumbing down rather than an adding to nuance of argument. So what happens is that you get the little echo chambers where people are saying what other people want them to say and they want to be heard. You get one little echo chamber here, one little echo chamber there, and they can actually, it's almost like attack, like hacks. And that's the most difficult thing, the terrain, in order to actually really be outspoken, say one thing one day, another thing completely different another day, and not feel like you're walking, we always walked on eggshells. Now we're walking on a sea of eggshells, and the trick is not to self-censor, but still to be aware of where the debates are going. So I call that a kind of emotional intelligence, to try and say, I might stay away from something, but I won't stay away from the political impact of what I'm trying to say. I just may use a different way of saying it. That, I think, is the biggest challenge that we're facing at the moment, is just negotiating that new terrain.
Your take on censorship of cartoons in South Africa. You've had your battles with the politicians who have tried to shut you down and what you have to say.
Look, I always want to make sure that I compare apples with apples, and if you think about how difficult it was to actually get things published in the old days, what was good there is we really knew who the enemy was. The enemy was apartheid, and actually that went all the way through from fairly liberal people to really hardcore radicals. And look, I consider myself certainly in those days a radical. I was a progressive. I'm not a liberal, not a middle of the roader. And I did have run-ins with the authorities. I was actually detained without trial and arrested a couple of times for various forms of activism. Things that I did were banned for publication. Some of the publications that I worked for were banned, certain editions of them, or they were banned from publishing for a certain period. We don't have that anymore. We have other things now. And we have actually, as cartoonists, had a phenomenally free run. The difficulties now are with the kind of nuances of political correctness, also with big politicians throwing their weight around outside of the statutes, notably Jacob Zuma, who sued me twice, massive lawsuits, but not the only one, there are others. And we have some legislation that the ANC and the government, that's almost interchangeable, are trying to bring in, which will sort of curb some of the media freedoms that they've been instrumental in bringing about, which is very ironic. So, those are some of the difficulties, but it is certainly not as bad as the old days. We have actually a great media space, and we've got to use it.